Working with Jimmy Page would be an all-encompassing thing, you'd think. He was the guitarist for Led Zeppelin, of course, but he was also their producer. And he produced a soundtrack for Deathwish 2 that's quite famous. The engineer on that project was Stuart Epps. He talks to us about Jimmy Page on Rock History Music.
The best project was probably we did the music to Deathwish 2.
Jack, what was he like on that project?
We're still out of it, but he was still out of it. But he brought in this. Jimmy got hold of these Roland guitar synths, and he does all this crazy stuff on there. And he started using the bow. He used the theremin. I thought the theremin was like a little animal of some sort. Someone said, "Bring out the theremin." I thought they were taking the piss. I thought it was like a little hamster or something. What the hell is a theremin? And so, to be honest, genius producer, without really even telling me what to do. He was a genius producer. And when it came to solos, he'd do like 3 tracks, and then he'd put the 3 guitars up there, and he'd make up a solo. He'd say, right, 2 bits from there, 1 bit from. I mean, he was difficult to understand, but I guess we got there in the end.
Very much.
And I genius producer, because he couldn't necessarily always play what he wanted to play, but it was in his head is where the genius was, and how he puts things together. And that is, it's funny actually, because when I read that Jimmy Page is the best guitarist that's ever lived, I shouldn't say this, but I should say, well, you ought to have worked with him.
When unfortunately and very unfortunately, not long after Jimmy Page bought the studio where I was managing and everything, the mill, Bonham was found dead. I was getting all geared up to record Zeppelin, and I'm sure that's why Jimmy bought the studio. But he died not long afterwards. So it was quite a while before Jimmy actually came in the studio. And actually, the first thing we did was mix Coda. We put together that tribute album. I mean, we did think that I thought that Bonham would be replaced maybe by Simon Kirke, who is an amazing drummer with Bad Company. But obviously, that's the sort of band that Zeppelin were. Zeppelin was those people. See, that's a good example of how important a band is when one member isn't there. And I mean, you could say that the drummer's not even a proper musician. I shouldn't say that, should I? That's terrible. But some people say that. He's the drummer, he's not a musician. Anyway, but obviously such an integral, important, you're not a drummer, are you?
Yes. So is my son.
No, you're not. Anyway, he was such an integral part of the band that without him, the band's that was the band. But anyway, eventually he came in with Paul Rodgers, and we did the Firm, and that was done live in the studio. Even Paul was singing live, which I assumed we'd redo, and he's so live that I'm not singing that again. I just did it. Did you get it? Good. That's it.
We'll have more from Stuart Epps coming up the next few days. Remember, he produced so many people, engineered a lot of people. He was the engineer on the Coda album with Jimmy Page. Worked with The Firm, Twisted Sister, Elton John, Paul Rodgers, Jimmy Page, and a host of others. If you want to get produced by him, he is available. Go to his website, stuartepps.co.uk. Remember, subscribe to our channel. We always love it when you join our team. Like our videos, spread the word, spread the videos on social media, and comment on them as well. I'm John Beaudin. This is Rock History Music.